is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, durable, and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. Rain or shine, Syntex tank has got your back. So go outside, check your tank, and if it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call 0244-335168 to buy now, or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, strong, tough. Well, MFA Adeti, always looking sweet, is here.
Good morning.
Oh, MFA Adeti. Oh, MFA Adeti. Is that how you like?
Very much like it.
Okay.
Good morning to you. Time now for news review. Bigger story today we shall be reviewing, but we've got Dr. Kwame Asante, Head Center for European Studies. You find him at the University of Ghana. Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, joining us for news review, and as well Dr. Jabil Mohammed, economist at the University of Ghana Business School. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Kujo, we've got the Daily Graphic, I've got the Ghanaian Publisher. What do you have with you?
I have the Daily Guide, I have the Daily Gist, and the Custodian. So these are the three papers I have. I think we'll get into the papers.
Absolutely.
But, let's give, as we do always, 2 minutes maximum each to our panel so that they can share what they want Ghanaians to know even before we get into the papers. Let's start with you, Dr. Kwame Asante. What is it that you want to talk about even before we delve into what the papers are reporting?
Good morning, Kojo. Good morning to MFA and, of course, my colleagues online. Also, greetings to our viewers. This morning, I'm looking at something simple, but it's not that simple. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the Bagri Dam spillage and the threats that it poses to human lives and property. This is of much importance to me in the sense that every year we see this ritual, dam spillage, arable lands destroyed, human lives threatened, and the rest of it. But what is the solution? We always talk about it and go to sleep. The real solution, if you talk to people on the ground, they will tell you, is the construction of the Pualugu Dam. That dam, if constructed, would take this volume of water, make use of it, and the excess will be used for irrigation. That would turn the fortunes of the North round. And the rest of the water, which can be contained by the dam, will now be moved onto Akosombo. And Akosombo, because it has been handled at this level, Akosombo will be able to contain it for onwards passage to Pom Dam and all that. So you talk to people who are experts on the ground, they will tell you that the construction of the Pualugu Dam is the sine qua non to dealing with this problem. And why is my country failing in this? You and I are alive to the fact that $12 million has gone into the dam. And up to date, we don't have evidence of that. I want to use this occasion to tell government that whoever is responsible for the construction of the dam, which we never had, must be able to answer questions. We call on government. We want to ensure that every money that we have sunk into any public projects, we must ensure value for money. And I will make sure that together with like-minded people, we'll rise up and then ask for this money to be used for the construction. We need the dam. Because look, the spillage of the water is threatening over thousands of people's lives there. Not to talk of over 200 acreage of land, arable land, that faces threats from this water. Why are we doing this thing to ourselves when we know there is a solution?
Okay.
Please, Mr. President, please, government, please rise up and make sure that we get the Pualugu Dam.
Okay, grateful to you. Let me bring in, Dr. Jabir Mohammed, who's an economist at the University of Ghana Business School. Doc, maximum of 2 minutes, your reflections.
Okay, good morning to you, and good morning to my colleagues and all our listeners. This morning, I have two simple issues to discuss. One has to do with the security situation in Savannah, specifically Swala Tuna constituency. I think recently 6 people were killed, or 3 people or so, as a result of a land dispute. And I hear that the people are seeking refuge at the police station. I want to charge the security agencies to act as a matter of agency to bring the situation to a halt. It should not be like what we have in Boku. We have to work very hard to resolve the problem as soon as possible, so before it escalates to the challenges that we may have in Boku. Now, the second issue I want to talk about is the electricity gas swap that the Ministry of Energy is trying to do with the people of Nigeria. In Nigeria, I think currently they just supply electricity to about 65% of their population, which means that there is still about 70% of their population still living without electricity. I believe that this is something that Ghana can leverage on. They supply the gas to us, we supply the electricity. There is a difference between them. We call it the crack spread margin. So if Ghana can leverage on that, we are going to be able to resolve our challenges. In the first place, Ghana is trying to come out with a 24-hour economy, which is already in stream, and we need electricity to be able to power that. So if we have constant supply of gas from Nigeria, then we do that better trade with them. At the end of the day, Ghana is going to benefit out of it. So I charge the Ministry of Energy to fast-track the deal and ensure that the deal works and works efficiently.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Jabir. Time for us to bring in the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Ibrahima. So, Chief, 2 minutes maximum to have your reflections.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Doc and...
So two doctors, Dr. Jabir and Dr. Asante.
From the University of Ghana. It's a pleasure to be with you, and good morning to our viewers and listeners. I think that my colleagues have raised two important issues, but to a large extent, whether it's the conflict, the electricity for gas, or the Bagre Dam, a lot of it has to do with how we are managing our resources. A lot of the communal violence we are experiencing across the country is as a result of the pressures of poverty, the access to land for economic activity, and all of that. And for me, it all comes down to how we are managing our resources. And this is critical to me because as I continue to review reports, review contracts, and all of that, I see how much this country is throwing away. I see how much is being looted from this country. I see how much people are stealing from this country. And I believe that if this government indeed wants to do a reset, and it's not a slogan, a lot can be done to solve many of our problems. Unfortunately, it appears there is a pattern where people in this government are perhaps even more secretive than the previous regime, under which a lot of the deals that we are talking about happened. And one wonders why. I keep asking, why are officials of this government unprepared to expose some of the things that happened in the past, even when it's on the basis of people pushing for such information? When they assumed power at first, we heard about, ECG containers, this number has missing, ECG this, cocoa jute sacks have done this, have done that. Apparently, all those were just to raise alarm for whatever reasons. Otherwise, what happened to those things? I believe that it will serve this country well if this government indeed goes on the reset agenda with transparency and accountability. Otherwise, we'll end up being at the same place that we are coming from, that we've been lamenting, and our problems will never be resolved. I would encourage that transparency is the deal if indeed we want to reset.
All right, thank you very much. Let me get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Now, we are going to talk about the Ablekuma North because there's an update on it. But there's a story that caught my attention here. A farmer kills son for money rituals. And the story is by Emmanuel Opoku, Elder Emmanuel Opoku from Takrade. It says, residents of Adidase in the Wasa-Memphis district of the Western region were thrown into a state of shock when news reached them after a popular farmer in the area had allegedly killed his son, his 6-year-old son, for money rituals. The farmer, Abdul Salam, 31, allegedly murdered his son by purportedly severing his head with a knife. And this farmer turned around to inform the community that he cannot find the son. So the community went around the whole area to check where the son is. Now, they say, according to the paper, when they couldn't find the boy, then it prompted them to question the father further. Now, this is a quote from them. So during the interrogation, Abdul Salam confessed murdering his son. He also stated that he wanted to use the severed head and feet for money rituals. Unquote, they disclosed. They could not fathom why Salam could commit such heinous crime. Quote, if he had gotten the money, will he have enjoyed it after killing his son? Unquote, they quizzed. I mean, I was disturbed, and I was asking myself, how could someone in this day and age kill the son purportedly for money rituals? I don't know about you, Dr. Sasante. I mean, how does this come to you that in this day and age, some people are still harboring the intentions of killing their own children for money rituals?
It's a sad story by all standards. And the good news about this story is that it is now with the police and it's at the appropriate forum. Obviously, I'm sure by now they are in court or they are heading for court. I will leave it at that. But I want to look at it, not the specific case we are looking at, but generally.
Okay.
The lust for money and the things that we do for money. It's a tall order, but time will not permit us. But I will do something small relative to this. Look, families are broken down. Socialization has been thrown to the dogs, where we teach children the basics of lives, the do's and don'ts. Then they grow, they get this socialization, get topped up at school level, at public places, so that they become fit for society. We have abandoned all this. Today, all that families are looking for is money, 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 and means for survival. It is true, we have to survive, but we have to teach the children the basics of life, things that are no-go areas, things that we accept as a society, so that we don't allow them to grow only to get to tertiary level of their schools, and then we begin to inculcate these values in them. Of course, we will not get the results that we want. We need to be able to do this from the word go. So I would urge education sector or education ministry to let these things find expression, the socialization in our curriculum. It is important from basic to tertiary. And then also let us continue that advocacy about the need to live an exemplary life. The need to work hard for a living. Okay. And then also we'll urge government to be able to when we work, government must also pay us our due.
Okay.
Once we get the basics right, I am sure we'll be able to deal with some of these problems. It's going to take us a long time, but 1,000 miles journey begins with a step. Let's begin the step today.
Okay. Now, in the same Daily Guide newspaper on page 6 says 8 convicted of Ablekuma North violence. Now, 8 persons arrested in connection with violence that characterized the parliamentary election rerun in Ablekuma North last month have been convicted by a circuit court in Accra. They all pleaded guilty to the 4-count of conspiracy, and the court, presided over by His Honor Isaac Addo, convicted them on their own plea, but deferred the sentencing to Friday, August 29, 2025. However, the court, after convicting the 8, granted them a bail of 80,000 Ghana cedis each, pending the sentencing, a decision that many have described as strange. I mean, does this bring closure? Let me start with you, Mr. Suleiman Abrahima. Does this bring closure to the whole issue about Ablekuma North and the violence that erupted or that characterized the rerun of those elections there? Mr. Abrahima, maybe you'd have to unmute so we can hear you.
Yeah, I guess you can hear me now.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So I was saying that certainly we have to wait for the sentencing because that's when we're going to have the ultimate decision of the court. At this stage, we don't know what will happen. We've had cases where people, commit all manner of infractions. They admit to it, plead guilty, are convicted, and in the end are made to pay 2,000 or 2,500 cedis each, which certainly wouldn't constitute something that you would say would be punitive enough. And so we'll wait for the decision of the court. But I think what is gratifying is the fact that we've seen these people facing prosecution, arrest, and prosecution. In the past, I think that the situation was different. We even had a situation where people on the basis of political party affiliation had the courage to storm a court in Kumasi to free people, their colleagues who were standing trial, and all of that. So this certainly is a departure from what had happened in the past. I don't know for sure, but I want to believe that in most cases, these acts are committed by persons who are associated with the ruling party and believe that the power that the ruling party has would protect them. And so in this case, if that happened to have been the case, and people did that thinking that they are doing so to support their party, they want their party to win, and believing that whatever happened, the party will protect them. After all, the interior minister is a party person, the IGP is appointed by this government, the national security coordinator is appointed by this government and therefore a party person. And so what can happen to them? And then in the end, we see what we've seen. I think that is a positive direction. The only thing is we can wait for what the ultimate decision of the court would be. But I think this also sends a strong signal to what people should think in terms of what they plan to do, let's say, in Akwatia.
Yeah.
Because, again, this should send a signal to everyone that it doesn't matter that your party is in power. If you commit a crime, you'll be dealt with and the law will be enforced. And I think this is what we need for a democracy. This is what we need for our country to grow. So it's not the end yet. The end will be in the final judgment. But what has happened so far is positive, and we look forward to the final decision.
Thank you. Dr. Asante, I mean, I'm sure as Mr. Brima put it, this serves a good tone ahead of the by-election in Akwatia.
Very well. He is spot on that. Because you see, when we say free and fair election, it's nothing but election devoid of irregularities, such as what violence, vote rigging, inducement, and the rest of them. We pretend to love democracy, but our attitude towards it is at variance with democratic ethos. We want to build this democracy. We want to support this democracy. But the very people who are saying this want to do things to undermine the very democracy we want to build. What kind of paradox is this? But look, election is not do or die affair. It's based on three things. What I call RSM, your resource, how you manage your resource effectively, both human and material. Your S, your strategy that you employ, that will elicit the number of votes that you need to be able to win the poll. And then 3, your message that you will churn out, that will resonate with the people for them to give you the votes. If you are able to do this, I think that all things being equal, you should carry the day. But people will not do homework on this, but rather take a different route and expect the same results. Obviously, you won't have that. Violence is not part of free and fair election. When you look at the indices of free and fair election, you should be able to educate your people very well, voter education. You should be able to ensure that the election management body does its work and does it well. You should be able to know that the pre-election phase, there is an equal playing field for everybody. The election phase, what happens there, you are interested in. And then, of course, you are also preparing yourself for post-election phase. In all these 3 phases, you don't need violence. Violence is not part of it. And we want to encourage, lovers of democracy, those who are going to Akwatia, that they should be guided by this, that no free and fair elections has in it an inherent index of violence. No, there's nothing like that. Do your homework well, work well. And when you lose, you need to accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. That is it. I am happy with the decisions and the effort being put in by the IGP. I commend him and I support that. His men are on the ground, as it were, boots are on the ground. And they will make sure that any incorrigible person will be brought to book. And I like that. We should be able to ensure this. And we as a society must support the security people to work. Let us open our eyes and ensure that this election goes on without any incident. Because after all, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty.
Right, maybe it's time to bring in Dr. Jabil. You can also start with the conviction of these 8 persons, and as well touch on the man who was allegedly murdered or killed his child for money ritual. But let's start with the Ablekuma North rerun.
Well, I think that this is one of the best decisions ever taken. I have seen on social media people have said that it is a wrong precedent that the NDC is taking, and I don't see that it's a wrong precedent. If you commit a crime, it is a crime you have committed. The law has to deal with you. I don't see the reason why people should commit a crime and at the end of the day, they are left to go scot-free. In the past, it has happened. It doesn't mean that we should continue the same way as stated earlier on. So I want to believe that this is a good signal so that Akwatia, nobody will misbehave there. If you misbehave, the police are there to arrest you. The court is there to work and ensure that you are sentenced and given the appropriate punishment. So this is a good step in the right direction. People are going to know that they cannot take the law into their own hands. And for that matter, they have to work and without any challenge in the process. Elections are won on the basis of strategy. They are won on the basis of competition. They are won on the basis of every effort that you may put on it. So if you fail to do your homework very well and you end up losing, just accept the defeat and walk away. Now, on the issue of the farmer killing the son for money rituals, they say money is the root of all evil. If not that, why would you have to murder your son, who is about 6 years old, just for money rituals? You are already a farmer. If you put in the best effort, if you put in the best strategies as a farmer, you are going to achieve, you are going to make a lot of money out of it. Why will you murder your son? And turn to the community to tell the community that your son is missing. And for that matter, the community should try to help you locate your son. Meanwhile, you have committed a heinous crime. I think that the law should deal with him. If the law deals with him well, next time nobody will want to do that. It is a break in social, fiber. If the society is vigilant about some of these things, I believe that it will stop. And also the education that we carry out in our televisions. There are people that we have left. We don't censor our televisions. There are people that we have left to come in to do all kinds of advertisement and say that there are money rituals. If you go to Facebook, some people will send you messages to tell you that they can create money for you. If you can create money for me, why don't you create money for yourself so that you become rich? So I think that people should not be gullible to some of these group of people. And the media in every locality must be censored against some of these things. If you don't continue to preach that on air, I don't think that people will fall foul to it. So let's work very hard. The media, the foundation, I'm happy that Mr. Brahma is here. They should pick it up so that most of these things are going to be censored. Also, I think the Minister of Communication must also wake up on this particular call so that we are able to prevent people from doing that. Even Facebook, we can block people who get engaged in some of these money rituals activities. If you are able to do that, I believe that we can bring a finality to some of these miscreants in the system.
Well, maybe let's bring Suleiman Abrahima in here. You've heard the story. You've also talked about the 8 persons who've been charged. But let's talk about this gentleman. At least in a year, you'd hear 1 or 2 of such stories reported in the media. What exactly are we doing wrong?
Well, I think that we cannot put all the blame on media. But of course, I think that there have been occasions where the media have also done things that cannot be excused. We remember the Kaswa incident, and ultimately the young boys attributed it to something that they had watched on television, where people were promising that if they were able to bring human body parts, they were going to do something for them to become rich or something like that. I think the fundamental problem with our media ecosystem is that it is unregulated. As we speak in Ghana, I say it all the time that we may have a media regulator on paper, but in practice, we don't have a media regulator. People do what they want. The only part that is regulated is the frequency that is used. So you cannot just grab a frequency, 99.7, and start broadcasting. You cannot grab a television spectrum or frequency spectrum and start televising. That is impossible. So that aspect of managing the frequencies of the nation is regulated. But that is not media regulation. That is just spectrum regulation. The media regulation in relation to content regulation is what we don't have. The National Media Commission is created by the Constitution to ensure the highest and the best journalistic practice and ensure professionalism and ensure independence of the state media, ensure that editors are not censored, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, I don't think that the National Media Commission has been up to the task over the years. Unfortunately, again, there has been an effort for the last 2 decades to have a broadcasting law in place. I am told that in the early days of the effort, the independent broadcasters or private broadcasters were not happy with the measure. I think we've gotten to a point where private broadcasters that are really interested in doing professional work are the ones who should be pushing for the passage of the broadcast law. But as we speak, we don't have it, and people can just rely on their own convictions, whether what they do is right or what they do is not right. But you cannot manage the media ecosystem that way. Okay. And then, as Dr. Kabiru said, there's also the social media where people can do anything with YouTube, Facebook videos, TikTok, and so on, which even goes far and far, sometimes even more than your television can go, because those things can be done in even local languages. Television maybe is in English and then some of the dominant languages, but YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, WhatsApp videos, and so on can all be done with local language. And that means that the grandmother, the people in the villages who may not have gone to school, cannot understand English, or may not even understand Twi, can also have contents that they can fully understand. And I think that it all comes down to regulation. As a serious country, we need to begin to look at how we regulate the media space properly. Free media does not mean free to do anything. The constitutional provisions is not about freedom to be irresponsible. It's all about freedom to be responsible, freedom to hold government accountable, freedom to serve the public interest, and so on and so forth, which is what we have not done properly. And I think we need to go back to the drawing board and ensure that we do the right thing.
Okay, time for us to bring in Lawyer Martin Pebu into the Ablekuma North update we've had. Lawyer, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, according to the Daily Guide, the court, after convicting the 8, granted them a bail of 80,000 Ghana cedis, pending the sentencing, which has been scheduled for Friday, August 29, 2025. But this decision some people see as strange. You are a lawyer, you can help us appreciate this better. Is there anything strange about the decision by the court to, grant them a bail of 80,000 cedis each pending the sentencing?
Not at all. Okay. Not at all.
Okay.
There's nothing strange about the bail, this particular case. It's always been our that bail can be granted at any stage of the proceedings. Could you let's emphasize? Bail can be granted at any stage of the proceedings. Okay. And let me the law. I can't read. I mean, if at least I'll get one of them to read for you. So we have Section 96 of the Act 30. Act 30 is long name is, or let me say full name is, the Criminal and Other Offences into brackets Procedure Act 1960 into brackets Act 30. So you see from its name, and it didn't even start in 1960, but let's say this is the current one we are using. Before this one, there was a previous one, okay? So the same thing. So it says that subject to this section, a court may grant bail to a person who appears or who is brought before it on a process or after being arrested without warrant, and who, and this is my emphasis, who is prepared at any time or at any stage of the proceedings or after conviction pending an appeal to give bail, and then B, enters the bond. That's so when the judge gives you, he says 80,000, this is, and you agree and fulfill it, right? So you see that the law allows even after conviction. You see how already, even after conviction is allowed. Now, the main reason the court will grant bail even after conviction is that usually the number one factor you look at is the severity of the offense. In other words, how hefty would the punishment be? So let's give an example. If, let's say, the person was standing a trial for robbery. Robbery under law, we have two types. Either if you use your mouth to say, hey, give me your phone. Okay, a robber comes, give me your phone. Otherwise, I'll slap you. Or otherwise, I'll kick you. Or otherwise, I would expose you so and so and so. Because he used his mouth, he didn't have any tool at all. Under the law, the minimum will be 10 years. So if a judge were to convict somebody of robbery today, and then the person didn't use any tool, he just used his mouth and his hands, or he actually beat the person to collect the money or whatever, then minimum 10 years. So when you are giving such a person bail, hey, if the judge is not likely, because the minimum the judge can do is 10 years. When that accused walks out of the court, the lawyer will explain, if he has a lawyer, And I will explain that today. My Lord says, after everything, you are guilty. It means that if you are lucky, God is on your side. The minimum is 10 years. The maximum there can go up to 50, 70 years. You remember those days you hear somebody sentenced 80, 90 years. Good. So that's just one example. So you see the punishment. The law has said that if the judge comes to a conclusion that the person is guilty, the minimum is what? 10 years. That's without a weapon. But if, let's say, he was holding even a stick, if he used a cane to hit the, the victim to collect, cane, not even a gun or a cutlass, cane. Once it's anything outside your physical body, you use an external implement to help you, the minimum will be 15 years. So you see that we set a thing. The judge is not likely to grant bail unless the person is so known and has high ties with the country, with Ghana. Maybe the person is very, very popular, but, something happened and everybody knows that, he cannot run out of Ghana, etc. You see, so what I'm saying is that there are many other factors, but the key thing the judge will be looking at is that, the punishment I'll be given the next day, is it so high that if this person hears it, and especially as that one, the judge's hands have been tied. These 10 years without a weapon and 15 years, even if you are using a cane or even you use a pen or even a blade to intimidate the person, 15 years. These ones, if the person hears and he doesn't have ties, God forgive me, I'm not demeaning unemployed person, but let's say he's unemployed, no wife and children, nothing in life, he's more likely to run. So the judges look at those factors. Okay. But this particular one that the court had, you see that assault and those ones, even the law allows that you would be able to settle the case out of court. You see that then?
Okay. But lawyer, yes. I mean, for those of us who are not lawyers, we need some education. Can we say the court has convicted them when it has not brought the sentencing? I mean, it has not really sentenced them. Can we say the court has convicted them when the sentencing has not been read?
Yes, absolutely. And after that, let me come back and explain the assault well. Yes, let me just illustrate. Yes, conviction means that the court has come to a stage where, upon examination of the evidence, everything, you are guilty. Now, when it comes to sentencing, we don't usually, unless, yes, of course, the law allows that sentencing means punishment. Punishment is another trial. If we are going by the books, if we want to do strict law, okay, sometimes we don't do it strictly. The punishment phase is also another trial. So let me explain to you. Before the judge will punish, okay, usually they have to adjourn so that the police will go and do their searches to know. They will check their database. Has this man been convicted before? And also, they are supposed to even, properly speaking, prepare reports for those. Let me quickly maybe give a famous example. Maybe some people can connect. Is it Oscar Pistorius?
Yeah.
The
South African
the Blade Runner who killed his wife, right? Was a girlfriend. So you see that they finished convicting him, and it took several months again. And then check many other celebrities. There are, I think there's another popular celebrity somewhere who has been convicted, but the sentencing is going to take several months. Yes, so it's to make sure that they will prepare a report, etc. But Ghana, naturally, we are behind. So a lot of the things, we are not able to do them like the Western world will do. But henceforth, every time you would hear that so has been convicted, but the sentencing will come, some 6 months, some 1 year later, before they will go and do the sentencing, because they are preparing reports, psychological reports, they are checking criminal records, then you see other people weighing, etc. So it's the same thing. We have the blueprint on our law, except that, we like to do fast. But if, let's say, maybe the person is sick, etc., and he has lawyers, they might have to say, no, we want to take an adjournment for this X, Y, Z. He's sick, let him seek medical care and finish and come and all that. So it's also in the law, all right? So now let's come back offense. I'm saying that under our law, it's called the Court Act. That one to once again over 30 years old, so it's older than a lot of people in Ghana. 1993, Act 459. Under the law, it is stated that when it comes to assault, etc., we are even allowed to settle. So assault, when I say assault, so could you touch wood? Maybe you slap this in Kingsley. Okay, if you slap Kingsley, he goes to the police station, the case goes to court. Rather than even the judge saying, go into the case, you call your witnesses, etc. The judge can, Kingsley can plead through his lawyer, or even if he doesn't have a lawyer, and if he knows enough, or let's say the judge wants to, intervene, they will say go to ADR. So at the ADR, Kingsley can apologize, etc. Maybe if this thing, I said, could you slap Kingsley? Yes, Kingsley slapped you, could you? Which one did I do?
I slapped Kingsley.
So you slapped him. So if he lost one or two teeth, etc., then you offer to pay the medical bills, the taxi fare, or if you use his car, you pay petrol, blah, 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 and apologize, and you accept it. You come back to court. They will not record, Kingsley will not plead guilty. They will just say he should go. But of course, this one, the reason everybody wants the guilty plea to go on the record, and that's what is rightly done, is that we want to send a strong signal to society that this electoral violence must stop. Okay. Electoral violence must stop. Electoral violence must stop. Otherwise, this saying to you and Kingsley, you can slap Kingsley, injure him, and yet when it goes to court, you go to ADR, plead, pay petrol, pay medical bills, etc. You come back, then they will say, okay, case finished. No conviction for Kingsley.
Lawyer, please, some education here. I would have thought that when it's a criminal case, it's between you and the state. Has the law outlined the particular type of, particular kind of law that allows you to use ADR in criminal proceedings or in criminal charges?
Excellent. Yes. Short answer, yes. So let's go over. So so you mean the particular kind of offenses that you can use ADR? Yes. Those particular, there are different types. But the first one is called the misdemeanors. Okay. So in Ghana, please, let's watch this. What we call misdemeanor in Ghana, the meaning can vary, okay, in or it can mean something else in another country when it comes to the punishment. But in Ghana, when you hear misdemeanor, it means that the punishment from 0, okay, 1 up to, 3 years imprisonment. So they just find the person 12 Ghana. If they say the lowest fine is 12 Ghana cedis, because one penalty in our law is equal to 12 cedis. So the lowest fine you can get is 12 cedis if it has to be a fine. And on and on and on. Okay? Up to a maximum, if the judge says, okay, go into jail, up to a maximum of 3 years. So for any offense that they tell you that it is a misdemeanor, meaning that you can be punished through a fine and then etc. Or if you are going to jail, maybe 1 day in jail, 2 days in jail, etc. You remember, was it Shatawale or who was that? Somebody, the ganja one, the weed in Kumasi. Was it somebody was sent to jail?
I think it's Kokode-Nwamase.
That'll be Kokode-Nwamase.
Excellent. You see it. Yes, so you see he was in jail for just a very brief period. Yeah. Right? So those are allowed under the law. But I'm not saying so the ganja one, that one, yes. So you see how the judge reduces. So that's the discretion. So we are repeating that for misdemeanor, from all the small things up to the maximum that the judge can give is 3 years. Okay? 3 years. Okay. Or you just say payment of compensation. Or they will just say, look, okay, we will let the social welfare people come and supervise you for some time, etc. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. So it's part of our law. It's always been that misdemeanors. There are other ones. You also hear plea bargaining. So even, under OSP, corruption offenses, And we have a new law that allows plea bargaining. Yes, all those. If, let's say, you have big evidence on the person, yes, you go and give the police. If they look at it, they can turn and then use that person as a prosecution witness rather than prosecuting him.
Okay.
So it's not your classical ADI.
Okay.
I'm saying that, yes, you can use it to bargain.
Okay.
It's not every time that when a person commits an offense, that person will go to jail.
I mean, finally, so we'll let you go, and thank you for your time. But for predictability of the law, what kind of sentencing do you anticipate these 8 persons will be handed over?
Wow. We are using electoral violence and also violence generally is such a nature. I do not readily, let me see, the closest, you see, Ayawaso West Wagon. I'm trying to see parallel situations. Ekufado didn't see to the prosecution of the people. Double and etc. Double Akomia, and Akomia, then the Mohammed something. Those, one of them was to be prosecuted. Then the other one, further investigation. Ekufado, as president, gave them Saka. He didn't see to the prosecution. There was a by-election, etc. Right? The next one I can compare with is Kumasi, the judge, Justice Yenzu, when the Delta Force and their people attacked the judge. They got what? Fine. Yes. Okay, so we are a democracy. On the basis of this, if it went in the direction of a fine, it would be okay. You see, what we are doing is that at this stage, we are still giving ourselves a lot of education. Our manners are evolving, okay? Our manners are evolving. Looking at the way we've cautioned those people, we've condemned them over several months, and the way the police service itself has lost a lot of reputation, the government itself has lost reputation. All those things are the naming and shaming. All those things are forms of punishment. So many people have also been punished, directly or indirectly, right? Their records have been bloated. So if the judge were to give a fine, it's okay. We are drawing a line under this. A time will come, let's say, if it were to continue, it will be very clear that as a society, we'll be demanding a jail term. But this one, I don't get a sense that, you see, we are trying to be objective, not taking partisan lines. Of course, if you ask people of a certain political persuasion, they will be saying, no, the person should go to jail. I don't want to do equalization, except that those of that political persuasion who want a jail term, they should remember that Ayawaso West Wagon was here. When the short commission report came out, they should prosecute. They didn't do. They should investigate the other person. They didn't do. So anytime they are asking, those people are asking for jail terms, I beg them. Thankfully in Ghana, crime has no expiry date. They should go and start from the Ayawaso West Wagon report. They should do justice to it and then come back here so that here when they see they want to jail term, I'm sure we can all listen.
Thank you.
But before you go, Dr. Asa Asante wants to ask you a question, so please. Dr. Asante, you have the floor now. Lawyer Martin Pebu is listening.
Lawyer, good morning, and good to hear from you. I want to find out, in this violence issue, can plea bargaining could also be applied? I need education on that.
Yes. So simple answer is yes on the facts of this particular case. So how it will apply is that, assuming, those that have been put before the court, okay, who have pleaded guilty, assuming there were more, but the police didn't know. So one of the accused persons, let's say when he was arrested, etc., he would then be able to say, look, you know what, if you agree not to prosecute me, I will give you information, the ringleader. So let's even say that the person who masterminded, etc., was not part of the arrested person. They didn't even know. Yes, he could have, the plea bargaining law, we've now made it express. You are allowed to bargain, so that you make an offer to the police. That look, if you agree, I will give you this and this information. Those of the people, these people who are arrested are the underlings. There's this big man, this politician who called us and organized and did this. So if you agree not to prosecute me, I'll reveal his name. This. Yes, and so it could have been done. So under a plea bargaining law, it's allowed. You can use it. And then, like we've already said, fortunately for them, in this case, it's even a misdemeanor that they could have also used the ADR.
I'm grateful, lawyer.
We're grateful to you, Lawyer Martin Kebu, for your time here. Yeah.
Right, maybe, Dr. Jabi, if we have you, please react to, I mean, I always like to prefix my question when it comes to law is predictability of the law. Lawyer Martin Kebu thinks that a fine will be good, considering history, precedents. A fine for these particular charges will be good. Do you agree?
Well, he's the lawyer, and he has spoken the law. And listening to him carefully, I just realized that is possible. And one profound thing he also said is that, you know, Ayawaso West were gone, by-election issues are still there. We haven't yet prosecuted the people. So if we want to do similar thing to these people, then we have to bring them back and do similar thing to them. And I agree with him that they must also be dealt with. The law is still a law. Even if it is going to take you 100 years for your case to be called back, to be re-investigated, then it should be in. I remember that when the government came into office, he asked the IGP to investigate the killers of the 8 people in Tochima North or Tochima South. I believe that these things are still relevant. And I think that we have to revisit the West Ogon case and also deal with it as it may be. The fine will be good because they are already fined about 80,000 Ghana cedi each. And I believe that if they pay that fine, next time people will not get themselves engaged in this. Even if somebody had decided to send you, just like he said, there is something in economics, game theory, we call it the prisoner dilemma. That is what he's trying to employ in the law, where he's asking the people that if somebody has decided, okay, fine, I'll give you an information of a big man or somebody of that nature who has gotten himself involved in what we did so that you can release me to go. That is like you are being compelled. Otherwise, you would not have done that. So that is something that I think that we can also employ to ensure that people who do the wrong thing behind the scenes are being exposed to the public when the needs arises. So if there were to be some people engaged in this behind the scene who have asked them to perpetrate the crime, they would expose the people. But strangely enough, you realize that it happens spontaneously because I think how Kumsin came there and something happened that led to what happened eventually. So I would not think that there were some people behind it who actually pushed them to do what they did. But they did that based on the exigency of the situation that called for it. And you know, people are already angry about what happened in Yawas West Ogon. So you cannot come here and play with them. That is why they took the law into their own hands. That is my own interpretation of it. But I don't think that there are people behind it who actually push the case. So I think that he's right. The 80,000 is enough. It's punitive enough to have corrected anybody again in future who want to get himself engaged in this kind of situation.
Okay. Well, let's do some politics. In front of the Daily Graphic this morning, it says that Cabinet Japan files for NPP flag bearer race. The details of this is on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. And before we get to that, just also to let you know that police deploy 300 personnel at Binyiri IGP visits to assess the security situation as well. Ghana gateway to Africa's markets. President Mahama to Singapore investors. But I'm curious about the Kwabena Japan files for NPP flag bearer race. Dr. Asante, I'll come to you on this, but Sulemana, let me have you, if you have been following the NPP presidential race, what does Kwabena Japan's decision to want to run for this race mean to the NPP as a political party in general? What do you think?
Well, I think Kwabena is a fine gentleman. He's been in politics for quite a long time now. Even in those days when it was Dubois, D.H. Mensah, Kufuor, and the rest competing for the flag bearer, he was young then, but from the records you could see that he was very, very active, in playing roles at the time. And then President Kufuor became president and became press secretary for quite some time before later Mr. Andrew Zawuni took over. Since then, he became the general secretary of the party, was controversially removed by Kufuor and his people in a way that certainly was elements of the dictatorship in that that regime. And since then, he's remained quite active. I think this is not the first time he's trying to contest for the flag bearership of the party. I've had very respectable people say that he could have been even a better running mate to Dr. Bawumia than Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. And so I don't want to say that his chances may be limited, but he certainly is a fine gentleman if the party folks consider him worthy to lead the party. On the race, I'm just worried about the rhetoric that is emerging. People conducting themselves as if they are, or they were not in the same party and they are not in the same party. I think it's quite worrying. I would want to see a very decorous campaign, a campaign that is focused on issues, a campaign that is focused on ideas, perhaps as Dr. Bawumia said. But of course, in politics, you cannot also discount the other elements that are worthy of consideration. So if those people are bringing such sentiments up, I think it's about how they go about it at the end of the day. Politics is about winning. Politics is not just about having a candidate. And so people have their messaging, and I think that it's about how they put out those messages. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about NPP, it's about Ghana. And we want our country united to forge ahead.
Okay. Dr. Asante, this is your field, political science. And so I'm curious to hear from you. Kwabena Japan, does it look bright for him?
Oh, extremely so. Kwabena has a lot of qualities, very intelligent scholar, and very much experience. If you look at the people who are contesting now, I can tell you that he's more experienced than them in terms of party work. He has a work in the trenches with party boys, the rank and file. I mean, when he was a general secretary. So he's in touch with every party apparatchik in the nook and cranny of this country. That aside, you can also say that he has also worked as executive secretary to the president. He had the opportunity to know the workings of government, and that is the crux of the matter. That experience is critical when you want to occupy that highest office. You need knowledge and all that. He has also mentored a lot of people within the party and outside the party. And above all, he's a man of vision and ideas. He has a lot of great ideas. He's a party man through and through. Remember that this is an internal contest. Party people want to rally around somebody who is a party man. And then because he's in touch with them and he knows their needs and all that. And of course, he is molded in the fashion of the MPP, where public outbursts, you don't hear him in that corner. Unnecessary banter, you don't hear him. And if you follow MPP tradition, they like people like this. They are people that they really want to project and vote for them. And of course, he has served his party. If you look at Kwabena, I knew him from 1980s when it was difficult in the PNDC time to talk. and to follow. He was following people like Nana Akufo-Addo, Edubuahing and co. Those times I was not in the university, but I was politically active and looking at him and all that. So I believe that he has what it takes to lead the party. If the party want to be fair and candid, I believe that these are fine men who should be the new face to change the fortunes of the party.
I see. I didn't think that these qualities in the history would be enough for a political party to want to choose them. If you look at the tradition and culture of how people become flag bearers, there's a term sellable. He's popular, more marketable. Do you see that with him?
He's marketable. He can fit into any position within the party, and he's gunning for what, the presidency. You need somebody with vision, right. Person whose vision goes beyond the party or his ethnic group. He has that. Okay. He has a national appeal, all right, that he is able to find his bearings with everybody within the party, both at the grassroots level and at the top echelons of the party. He is somebody that has impeccable record, and he has really worked for his party. Remember, politics is nothing but contest of ideas. That's why he is a man of ideas and referendum of your work. What work have you done? He started off as an engineer. Not only that, but he has also worked in politics to get to the highest level. So I believe that this should be an icing of the cake if the party really want to consider people who have what it takes. And remember, he has age on his side. Among all the things that we are looking at, that generation that they are losing, the young among them cannot fit into that category. So he has more time to lead a party and then also soldier on and build a party. The party, one of the things that I have listened to him over the years that he keep hammering on is that let us bring back the glory, the days of glory of the NPP and all that. And people who have worked as foot soldiers and then holding party positions, they are the best people to share this type of order. He has a lot of constituencies. All right. In politics, you need somebody who is also has a lot of constituencies. What are his constituencies? He appeals to professionals. He appeals to intellectuals and of course rank and file because he's a party man. Remember, he also comes from Ashanti region and is also a strong card for the NPP in all that. Yes. And here I'm talking about regionalist politics is very, very critical when these things are also brought to the fore. So he has a lot. And remember, he has also found engagement with the media when he was the head of the media. I work at the presidency. I work as a reporter at, the presidential press corps. I was in there and I was quiet and I was watching his workings when we were all there and all that. And I saw and all that. And of course, he's somebody who is marketable and can be packaged.
Okay. Would you have the newspaper?
I think, so the Daily Gist, Julius Debra test presidential waters in Akwetia, anger in military over scrapping of key allowances, Cabinet Japan files for MPP presidential race, AFAX convicted for beating Howard Compson, MPP expands voter register ahead of 2026 presidential primaries, I bankrolled Baumia, Akufo-Addo Brian Brax, Medal of GIS officer, the inside story. Also on the front page of the Custodian, MPP add more delegates for presidential primary. Want-to-me radio stations closures are to silence our voices, Ashanti MPP youth. Also, TIP petitions EOCO over alleged Galamsey excavator deals, and Ghana drops in 2025 Global Peace Index.
Well, so Kojo and gentlemen, so Oti region is recording a little over 10,000 typhoid cases since January this year. What started in little numbers, our reporter Peter Senri has been following this. Little numbers finally surged to a little over 10,000 typhoid cases. Dr. Jabiu, this is one of the news stories that the Ghanaian publisher is reporting, despite us even reporting it yesterday in the news. Have you seen this and how do you feel about this?
Well, this is a disease that anybody can get. because it is as a result of that and others. So I think that we have to ensure that we increase our sanitation level. The goal 6 of the SDG talks about clean water and sanitation. We need to have clean water. We need to have good sanitation in our environment. And if we are able to have that, I think that we'll be able to curb some of these problems. So I will charge the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation to work hard to ensure that all of these places are clean and clean very well, so that our people will be away from these kind of diseases. And I also charge the people to be proactive in terms of the way they handle themselves around the community, because this can continue to spread. And if it continues to spread, it is endangering the lives of the people. So let's work very hard to ensure that we are able to resolve this particular case.
Okay. Samana, so to tackle this crisis, particularly in the OT region, the OT Regional Coordinating Council has partnered with environmental health officers to launch a sanitation task force. Now, the body is mandated to roll out comprehensive sanitation program, strengthen waste disposal system, and promote clean water initiatives across the region. And again, late last week in Parliament, the Parliament Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources is actually pushing an increase of sanitation levy from 10 pesos to 50 pesos. They actually want to ring-fence this particular levy, if approved, so that we have a dedicated fund in funding the fight against sanitation challenges in this country. Yes, do you agree to the increment of the 10 pesos to 50 pesos and making it a dedicated fund? And if so, are you convinced about the decentralization of how we fight our sanitation in this country?
Absolutely not. I think in the past, these things have been created for people to loot and share, and the evidence is there. Very soon, we would let Ghanaians know how the monies from the sanitation and pollution levy were expended, and this is a fact. So, if there is any attempt to increase another levy or the same levy, I would say emphatically that it is a process to create more and loot more. So for me, it's absolutely not. In terms of the management of our sanitation, the problem is the same. Read the Auditor General's report, and it will tell you the number of cases, the number of district assemblies that wrote to the District Assembly's Common Fund to say that, look, we have a sanitation contract with the Jospon Group, Zoom Lion, or whatever it is. Work was not done, so please don't deduct from our common fund allocation, and yet it was deducted, or yet they are always deducted. I think the problem in this country is that maybe previous governments, governments have not been serious with the management of our sanitation. If you look at the Ministry of Water Resources, and I think it was Water Resources and Sanitation under Akufo-Addo's regime, and the kinds of payments that they were making, quarterly, month on month, year on year, still to the same Jospon Group that has all the contracts in this country, about 90% of the contracts in this country awarded to companies under the same group, you would come to the same conclusion, that it is just a scheme to rob the people. And I don't think that the people of Ghana should sit down and accept any attempt to increase anything like sanitation levy or whatever it is. As I have said, it's just a scheme to create and loot and share.
Okay, all right. So that's a call there that we should all say no to that particular increment. But let's take you to Beniyiri, because over the past few days we've not had some good news coming from there. There's been renewed communal clashes in that part of the country, and yesterday the IGP led a high-powered security delegation to the area to understand the issue and how they can really deal with it. Let's listen to the IGP speak to the press after the meeting with leaders of that community. And when we come, we'll take you straight to Beniyiri in the Sola Tunakalba district of the Savannah region, where land dispute has resulted in communal clashes. Let's just listen to the IGP now. Our correspondent will be joining us shortly, but first, let's just listen to the IGP. All right, so we'll bring the IGP later, IGP sound later, but let's bring in Isaac Noya, who is standing by to bring us update. Isaac, what's happening on the ground now?
Well, currently, many people are still fleeing, despite the measures put in place by the IGP, in the sense that they don't trust what is happening, they don't trust the level of security for their protection, and they feel that until they are able to escape from the district, they will not be saved. Then that is why you see a lot of people line up, walking from their homes to any destination that they can get to and be saved. As of yesterday, in the night between 9 and 10 p.m., you saw a good number of children and women walking, carrying their luggages and their properties, the few that they can carry, to wherever they can find themselves. At the Tona police station, you saw even residents who were a family at Tona, said that they run away from their homes to the police station because the information they are picking is not anything for them to stay back and then able to live and sleep there. So to sleep at the police station is better for them. And they were there. We saw a pregnant woman and 3 of her children also lie in the open at the police station. Now, those who were at home managed to Tona town were trying to find their way barefoot from Tona to Sola. And the distance is more than 10 kilometers. If you are lucky to get a vehicle, you join me. If not, they were walking in the darkness while going. And we're also told that additional 5 other people were shot and died and killed. I mean, in the Bola district, they said 2 people. If you come to that of the Sola-Tunakaba district, they were talking about 4 people. And these are all happening in the periphery of the 2 districts, because in the farming communities where many people have escaped to the bush and then are hiding in farms, at least when they exchange the gunfire over there, virtually others will pass on, others will be injured. And the casualties, not all the casualties are being recorded or being attended to, because they don't know where they are. I will speak now.
Okay, interesting. I mean, yesterday the IGP assured the chiefs of the area that they were doing everything they could to ensure that they bring the matter under control. When we spoke to your colleague, reporter with Adom FM, she gave us an update on what the IGP, together with the other security capos, were going to do in the other communities. What do we know today in terms of the outcome of those trips by the IGP and the leaders of the security capos?
Well, the IGP recommended the chiefs to hold on to peace and then not further doing much that will worsen the situation. He also gave them his assurance that for the fact that his men are on the ground, he will do everything to bring more additional people and measures in place so that they will not have more destruction. And these are things that are continuing to happen. The IGP said this, and he's committed to make sure that things are not happening. I mean, more deaths and casualties are not recorded. If you look at what happened at Bimbilla, where the chief palace was attacked, there were men stationed there, and we're told that they moved a little bit to escort some people outside the terrain who wanted to move to Sola. But on the return, the chief palace was attacked, his tractor burned, and no one was found to be culpable of what has happened. And so the level of suspicion, tension, and insecurity among these residents has heightened to the extent that you saw people just open their doors ajar and left the town, left the communities, and you meet some who will tell you that, look, it's safe to be walking on the road trying to get to a safer place than to remain in our homes and to be killed. We met an elderly man in his late 60s at Ginovore. When he saw our team, he tried to escape, but he was rounded up and asked why. He said he was sick and could not walk, and there was no way he could run. So he has to remain where he is. Whatever will happen to him, and that will be his fate. So the elderly, mostly the men, they have remained home, and even the women who are also elderly, they are escaping alongside with their children and their grandchildren.
Okay.
Well, let's thank you, Isaac, for bringing us updates this morning. But let's stay in Binyiri and hear from some of the residents who are faced with this challenge.
If you disconnect the teacher, yes. If you disconnect the key. From where? You know, it's a different.
No matter how it is.
Mr. Bass, yes. We thank you for your good work. People can come back to their settlements and then go about their normal duties. So because of that, I'm here with the regional minister, the DCE, the NIB from Accra, that is the Director General NIB, and also with the GOC of the Ghana Armed Forces, the Northern Sector. Is also here. The REXEC also follow up. And then we met the young Maura, who also decided to give us a delegation to follow us, because he controls all this area, so that they will see to themselves what has happened to the jurisdictions that you people are controlling. So they are also referred.
We brought you earlier the sound from the residents, their reaction, and as well the IGP also addressing the people. But let's wrap our news review with our guest today. Maybe I should go to Dr. Sasante. We'll take your final words. And our correspondent has been bringing us the current update in Binyiri. It looks like despite the deployment of a little over 300 police personnel, there's still some fear in the community.
Obviously, such a tense situation, people will be afraid. But the good news is that the soldiers are there to keep the security. I listened to the officer commanding. They're talking, assuring the chief that they shouldn't worry and that they'll protect them and all that. And I trust Ghana Army when it comes to their duty. They don't cut corners. They'll do a good job there. And we also want to appeal to the people on that let peace prevail. Whatever there is in terms of issue, they should sit down and then talk and allow peace to prevail, right? Don't start war. You'll find it difficult to end. That's my message, and I'm appealing to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sasante. Sulemana, our final words. Do I still have him?
Well,
okay.
Yes. Well, it's quite unfortunate. I want to believe that the appropriate measures will be put in place to calm down the situation. As Ansar Santos said, it's difficult to end a war when it has started. This, I believe, is in the Savannah region. I keep hearing Bali and those places. This is the backyard of His Excellency the President, and I think that the people there should appreciate that peace is needed for development, and whatever the grievances are, I believe it could be resolved peacefully, and that is our appeal. The security agencies also have a role to play, basically to give assurance to the people that they can trust that their safety is secured, so that those who feel insecure, those who are mistrusting the situation, will have the trust and the confidence to stay back. And when things like this happen, especially the plight of women and children become what is, quite devastating. And so I think the earlier steps are, measures are put in place to secure the situation, the better for all of us. So we hope that conditions will come to normal very soon.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Maybe Dr. Jabu, please.
Well, 9 people died, 18 people injured. This is very serious. Lives and properties have been lost. I believe that the people can come together. They have been living together for a very long time. I see no reason why they should continue to have this kind of challenge. So they should stay together and resolve the case amicably. And I also believe that the security forces are there and are there to protect them. At the end of the day, I hope that the Ghana Police Service, the Army, will do a good job. If the situation continues to escalate, maybe we may have to do a state of emergency by putting in a curfew there for some time so that we can control the situation and return the place back to normalcy.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today for our news review. Dr. Kwame Asante is the head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Suleiman Brahima is the executive director for the Media Foundation for West Africa, and Dr. Jabir is with the University of Ghana Business School. Thanks very much for being a part of us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with our big stories here on the AM Show. Do stay.